Stangibelisco here. It is December 23rd, 2017. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, you might call this Christmas Eve Eve. And in fact, when I was growing up in Rochester, Minnesota, well, I never really totally grew up, but when I was a child in Rochester, Minnesota, our family invented this little tradition for itself called Christmas Eve Eve. And what we did is we got the best apples that we could find and a potato peeler, and we'd sit around the fire. It was a real wood fire, not a fake gas one like that. Well, it isn't a fake gas one, it's a real gas one. But we sit around the fireplace and peel those apples and then slice them into sections and eat them. My dad, my mom, my two sisters, myself, and for some of the time, our black cat, Claude. Now, Claude didn't eat the apples, but the rest of us generally ate a few. We'd play Christmas carols on what was then called a record player. It played 33 1/3 RPM vinyl discs. Remember those big old things? Probably about a foot or a third of a meter in diameter. And we did that every Christmas Eve for quite a number of years. Until, of course, we went our various ways. Well, you may not be a Christian if you're watching this, and you may not decide to adopt this particular tradition, even if you are. I suggest that you do. If not this year, if you're watching this video too late for this year, there's always next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. But if you're Muslim, Hindu, agnostic, atheist, religion really doesn't have to have anything to do with it, nor does Christmas. Any holiday will do, or just make one up for yourself. When I was a kid, I made one up January 31st every year. We called Venitat. It was to celebrate the family. Little did I know that there's a saying in the Holy Bible, a verse called the Venite. I was only about 8 years old, and I said, well, let's call this Venitat. But I didn't know anything about what Venite was. It seems to have some peculiar, almost supernatural significance to this day. Read that passage called the Venite, or look it up. Anyway, whether you're Christian or not, and I know that if you're watching this and throughout the world, many of you are not, and I respect any religion, even atheism and agnosticism. If that's your belief, that's your belief or lack thereof. You can still invent holidays. You can still peel apples, or if you don't like apples, have some other food of your favorite sort. And sit around, well, it doesn't have to be a fire, although it is kind of a nice touch, especially if it's cold outside as it is today, near 0 Fahrenheit. I don't know what that converts to in Celsius, probably about -20 or something. It is frigid by most standards in the world, but the fire is just as warm as ever, and the peeled apples will be just as good as ever. We used to get those big Washington apples. Someone would always send us a gift package of Washington apples, especially so that we could have them on Christmas Eve Eve. But whatever, invent a new tradition. Make this the first day of your new tradition, or the day that you remember as having invented the new tradition. Maybe you can just celebrate it on December 23rd of every year, no matter what the holiday. Although Those of you who are Muslim have your own particular holidays. Those of you who are Jewish have your own particular holidays. I don't mean to disrespect any religion, as I said. I respect them all equally, and I respect the lack of religion equally. I would like to say I respect all people throughout the world equally. But maybe that's stretching it. You may say I'm a dreamer, but there are others. Stan Jabalisco signing off. Until next time, so long.